Hi, my name is Maya Fuhr, and welcome to my studio. This is my process, which is kind of unusual. It's actually a mold making latex that I use. I paint layer after layer after layer after layer. It's a very tedious process.
Which layer is this?
So yeah, this is probably number 5, and I make sure to get every single nook and cranny. And for me, this process is really relaxing. I really like having something to focus on and perfect for long periods of time.
It's crazy how many layers it takes, because if you had told me this is like one layer, I would have thought that's what it is. The fact that this is already 5 layers.
Yeah, so the easy thing to do, like if I was being efficient, I would just buy latex, but I really love the process of doing it layer after layer, and seeing something start to finish is very satisfying for me. The mistakes are the best parts. It was like the trial and error that made sort of like the wrinkly textures, and like everyone is different, comes out different. The fact that I'm putting so much time and energy into painting the latex, it makes it all the more satisfying when I rip the latex off, because it feels like something I deserve. It's like I worked for it. It's like almost that feeling when you want to ruin something that's really beautiful. I get the same kind of satisfaction. Being attracted to women was something that I didn't embrace. It was kind of a secretive part of my life. And who knows why? That was just my conditioning from where I grew up. And later in my life, I've really embraced my weirdness and my sexuality and my fetishes and having it all for the world to see. Because I've never really done that before. It's been more of my secret part of life. For a long time, I've been photographing sex workers and porn stars. Both professions are really integral in people's healing. They're actually such generous humans, and they really devote their life to making other people feel good. This is my friend Neela, who's a dominatrix. And I ripped the latex here, so it's you can kind of feel her fishnets. A latex outfit here. And I really liked this technique I did where the latex is kind of wrinkly, and it almost looks like when there's latex clinging to a sweaty body. And I really want to invite people to come and touch the work. It almost feels like you're touching the women's bodies too. This is silicone and latex. So the silicone is what people actually wear to make their boobs look bigger, in bras. So this is kind of my weird sex dungeon, but it's I'm able to explore all these fetishes and quirks and feelings by myself, where for a long time I really had it that I had to do that with other people, and it was something to explore either in private or in groups at fetish parties. But it's I'm actually getting that satisfaction just making art and being able to feel those feelings by myself.
You come to a lot of various conclusions, and obviously some of them you're I don't know if this is what I want it to be, but
I don't know how weird I'll go.
Knowing that you can send it and not always succeed, it's not a big deal if they don't all work out. Some of it's just an idea, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, and it's all the process too. As long as I'm having fun making it, that's all I really care about. The best art is made from making mistakes. I've always said that, even when I teach photography to kids, I'm just go out there, make so many mistakes, because it's the mistakes in the film that you're actually going to be most excited about. Because my photography career, I taught myself photography. I would drop my rolls of film off to be developed, and then there'd be these double exposures or light leaks at the end of the roll, and I wouldn't know that they were happening. And I'd get them back, and I would get high from them. I'd be oh my God, this was meant to be. It was almost this sacred experience. I felt the film was trying to tell me something. Or if it happened on a certain person, I was well, I just wasn't supposed to photograph that person. But these, I have so many light leaks like this that look like Rothko paintings. Pretty much only used to happen when I started photography. I would cherish these light leak photos.
How are you gonna spend the next 4 months sort of prepping?
Well, I'm gonna go to the art supply store today, and I'm gonna get a bunch of frames, canvas frames. I want to have like 20 pieces done, so I'm going to print more on aluminum and decide what pictures I want to print. I definitely work best under pressure. I feel like I'll probably make the best work like a week before the show. Without a deadline, I'm just constantly like trying new things and like playing around. But with the deadline, I can be kind of treat it as like a structure that I need to fulfill on and be like, okay, this week I'm going to get the prints. Next week I'm going to do one layer, and I'm taking on being more like professional.
I like the idea that like most of it's still exploratory work, and then in the last moment you're like, okay, stop designing, time to do production. Like
yeah, I tried so hard to just stop exploring, but it's like I can't. Like,
yeah, it's part of it.
It's like right when I have like purpose, I just want to fuck it all up. I love community. Like community's been like a pillar of my photography. Like without like the sex worker community, without like my community of artists, my queer community, like I wouldn't exist as an artist because I wouldn't have anyone to document. I really had it that like being an artist was selfish. And that's why I didn't fully embrace it, because yeah, I just didn't want to be a selfish artist. But I've done a lot of work on myself and realized that it's totally okay to be an artist, and I can bring in the community mentality to that. So like at my art shows, I want people to be really comfortable. I want people to connect with each other. A lot of the time I'll like facilitate discussions at the gallery and just use it as like a safe space for people to come together. And I think that's what the collaborative piece will represent. It's like, it's a community making a piece, and it's not just like me alone in my studio.
It's so good. It's so fucking good.
Hello, my name's Fuhr, and I'm an artist, and this is my very first US solo exhibition here at Sade Gallery. And the show is called Compersion, and I'm really excited to show you around and have a bit of fun. I called it Compersion because compersion is a Buddhist term that I actually grew up on. It's a term that means you experience pleasure from seeing somebody else have pleasure that doesn't directly benefit you. So it's a really great way to live life. It also is a term used in the polyamorous community and being like the opposite of jealousy. So I've kind of like created this entire interactive world where each piece really invites your own compersion. So this piece here is remnants from a performance that was in the gallery at the opening on Valentine's Day. And a dominatrix named Fix and their submissive Sammy did this really beautiful act of compersion. The dominatrix painted Sammy in latex, like layer after layer after layer, and we invited the audience to engage with them, to watch them. And it was a really good example of compersion because BDSM isn't for everybody, and like it doesn't turn on everybody, but we were seeing like this submissive and dominatrix that were like so into it, like experiencing their own pleasure, and you could see in the energy in the room, like everyone was really happy, and like there's just like this bubbly energy. Fix peeled off the latex, and it was a painful experience, but it was a painful and beautiful experience. So yeah, in this room specifically, these are all portraits of celebrities, and celebrities that represent like sex and like celebrating sexuality. So an example of that is drag queen Shea Coulee, who you might recognize from RuPaul's Drag Race. Okay. Yeah, drag queens really allow for compersion, right? Because like maybe you don't enjoy dressing up in drag, but like watching them gives us that really fun, giddy feeling. Yeah, this is my own fabricated latex that I made myself. I interacted with it, so I like put my nails through it and clawed at it. And you'll see in every single piece in the room, there's some way that I interacted with the piece that was a really like enjoyable kind of erotic feeling for me as a process. So this piece is Brooke Candy, and it talks about the impermanence of celebrity and pop culture. The way that this piece is almost like falling apart before our eyes is representing that like fleeting quality that a lot of pop culture represents. So all of this work in this room is really a way to like elongate this connection I had with these celebrities that, yeah, I might not be able to see again, but I really like enjoyed spending time with them. I love this piece. So I actually fabricated this entire piece here in the gallery 2 weeks before the show. And it's just like a symbol of like my own obsession with latex. Like I didn't need to make any more latex, like my entire show was up and I couldn't stop. I would say there's probably like 20 different sheets of latex and it kind of moves with the energy that flows around it. So this piece, I give permission to the viewer to touch and interact. So a big part of this show is like the visceral, sensual, healing qualities of latex. Latex is a very safe material. Like if you think about it, you know, doctors wear latex. When we're born, like latex is the first feeling we feel. I really want to share that with the viewer and just show them how satisfying touching latex is, and yeah, and just get curious, like what kind of feelings it evokes out of different people. This exhibition is really like a world building exercise where I incorporated scent, I incorporated sound, and I incorporated touch, and just like watching everyone get like sheer joy from touching this, and also like everyone interacts with it differently. Like some people feel like they don't have consent to touch the body. So a lot of the time I saw people like going like this and like going around the edges, and I'm like, don't worry, like you can touch her, you know? So it's kind of funny because it does create that conversation like around consent.
I love that you built in these interactive components to the show, right? Like given everything you're talking about, the idea that there was like these real points of interaction. And then I also saw you have some closer friends who know your work, who would walk around and touch the other pieces, and other people would be like, whoa, and kind of then go touch it themselves, not realizing that that was okay. And then like they kind of open the door, other people see it happen, they're like, oh, we're allowed to interact with these.
In the fetish community, and in my own personal experience wearing latex, a big part of it is like feeling safe and secure. And another way of putting that is like feeling like you're reverting back to the womb. We have like my friend's pregnant belly over here, a light leaf that represents like a vagina opening up. And then this was like one of my very first inspirations for this show, and it's this picture I've had forever, literally 33 years, where my dad took it, and I'm coming out of my mom's uterus. It's a very personal, vulnerable piece for me because it's like, yeah, it's literally like I'm sharing myself from when I came out of my mom, and my parents are just really big influences for me, so it's just really nice to have a piece of them in the show.
What are we doing? Border Town?
Go forward, right here!